Hey friends, welcome to our tarot meetup on YouTube Live. It's great to see you. Let me say hi to a few people that I see here. Veronica, Marcos Herring, that's Anna. Dina, nice to see you. Melanie, glad you're here. Smile Soul 20, nice to see you. Marion K. Tarot, happy to see you. Jackie Scott, glad you're here. All right, we'll welcome people as they come on in. So, we have been doing 3 meetups and 2 classes every month on YouTube. This particular meetup is sort of our official YouTube meetup. Even when we're back to doing our local meetups, we'll keep this one going forever and ever, or at least until there are holographic meetups on some other platform. That will be fun, right? I see a lot of people coming into the room. Happy to see you all. Dave, good to see you. Gail, nice to see you. Gypsy Jade, nice to see you. Joanne, glad you're here. Laura, glad you're here. Clumsy Clairvoyance, glad you're here. So if you happen to be watching an archive after the fact, thank you so much for being here as well. So we have a particular format that we like to do where we're going to spend the first half hour doing readings, and then the second half hour we will do some tarot exploration. And thank goodness Dina gave me a good idea for something we could do today. So we actually have a great study planned for you. Hey Lori, nice to see you. So, Purple Sunflower, glad you're here. So for readings, the way it works is this. If you have your cards with you, and I hope you do, this is a great opportunity to practice and a great opportunity for us to do readings literally all around the globe. We have people here from all parts of the world, and we're going to work together to provide tarot readings for people. So, if you have a question, something you would like to know about your own life, go ahead and ask it. And here's what's going to happen. I'm going to do a 1-card reading, and then anyone else who would like to participate, all you have to do is put the name of the person. You can do the @ sign and their name, the name of the person, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. So if you have asked a question, make sure you don't just listen to me. You have to go through and you have to read through. Dina's getting her cards shuffled now. You have to read through to get your whole reading. So by each doing 1 card, we're making a full spread. And it's really interesting to see where is their agreement, where is their contradiction, how does that all work? It's a lot of fun. And it is a great opportunity to learn and for us to work together. So I go pretty quickly. And that's for 2 reasons. Number 1, I've been doing this for a long time. But number 2, it's so much quicker to speak than it is to type. So if you find it's moving too quickly, you can do every other one. Or just do the ones that you really feel drawn to. That's okay too. Now, as we get to the halfway point, we will start to take questions about tarot. If you have questions about particular cards, about reading styles, about particular decks, if you have questions about a reading you did or you didn't understand, or issues of tarot ethics, you can go ahead and ask about those things as well. All right, let's get going. Now is the time to get your questions in. Hey, Claire, nice to see you. Wendy, nice to see you. I see 1 question from Veronica. That's where we'll start. And I do want to remind you that we have a premium class coming up on Zoom on Wednesday. This is a good beginner and review level class on the major arcana. We're going to spend 2 hours going over the lessons, interpretations, and ways of working with the 22 cards of the major arcana. That's on Zoom. You need a ticket. You can get a ticket on my website, tarotbychristiana.com. Go to the events, or on my Facebook page, Christiana Gaudet. Again, look at the events. I would love to see you in class. That's Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Okay, and here come the questions. I see Gypsy Jade has a question. Purple Sunflower has a question. Ashley, nice to see you. John, so happy to have you here. Okay. Here come the questions. Let's get going. And again, we're going to start with Veronica. If you would like to read for Veronica, go ahead at Veronica, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. How can I navigate my roommate situation? Well, whenever people use the word situation, we know there's a problem there, right? We may not know what the problem is, but we know there's a problem. And this is a nice teachable moment, and we have quite a few of these in these sorts of sessions, in that we as tarot readers do not always need to know the situation, the story. We can just interpret the card. Yes, sometimes for context, it's important to know the ins and outs of it, but I think it's fine to just say, okay, we don't know the situation. But Veronica wants to know how to navigate the situation. So let's take a look and see. Knight of Cups. There needs to be some motion here, but keep love in your heart. However you happen to be feeling about the situation or feeling about the roommate, whatever you have to do and however you need to move in your own defense or to make a better situation, do it with love in your heart rather than anger or frustration. And make sure you read through and see what everyone else has to say here. Gypsy Jade. How would my potential move affect my daughter? Let's take a look. If you would like to do that reading, at Gypsy Jade, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Two of Swords reversed. That's very interesting. This is where I'm like very happy that we have more people pulling more cards, because this is definitely going to take more than one card. It may not be a decision that she would want you to make. This may not be something that she would prefer. But just because someone doesn't prefer something doesn't mean that it's bad or wrong. So I would just recognize that she may not prefer it, but whether or not you should let that affect your decision is a whole thing entirely. Hey, Kathy, nice to see you here. Glad you're here. Okay, Purple Sunflower. Is a traditional 4-year degree the right direction for me? If you would like to do this reading, at Purple Sunflower, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. What do we think? A traditional 4-year degree for Purple Sunflower. Yeah, Page of Swords, 100% yes. Now, you may end up with more. You may end up with a master's or something of that nature. And there are questions as far as what the topic should be, what the degree should be in. But yes, I would say go for it for sure. 100%. Okay. Gail Selfred. Will my boyfriend leave me by the end of 2020? So that's a really interesting question. Let's take a look and see what we see. If you would like to do this reading, at Gail Seifert, sorry, I may be mispronouncing it. Gail Seifert, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. What do we think about this relationship? The King of Swords. I'm wondering why you're thinking this might be. Because when I look at this, I don't really get that sense. So I'm wondering where that's coming from, really. I don't necessarily see that that's what's going to happen. Okay. Smile Soul 20. I have a burning question. I've been very busy with my life and other things. Has this been helpful for me in meeting a life partner? So what he wants to know is, in, just being busy and doing what he needs to do, is that helping him in some way, energetically, logistically, practically, in any way? Is that going to help him find what he's looking for in terms of love? If you'd like to do this reading, at Smile Soul 20, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. 7 of Cups reversed. I'm going to say yes, it is helpful. It may not be that you've met the right person yet, but I think you are more on the path, for sure. Okay, Claire C. Any advice for me about how to have more self-discipline? Okay, if you'd like to do that reading, at Claire C, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. Let's see what we got. More discipline. Two of Pentacles. So there's a few things here. Number one, I feel like you're learning a whole new way of being. And it's not even so much about having discipline or not having discipline. It's about how much your life has changed and how much your schedule has changed. So take it easy on yourself and recognize that this is a time of transition. Number two, do you think that you multitask well? It feels like there may be ways where you've got like so much going on that you're not getting anything done. And so you may need to look at how you're going to prioritize things and whether maybe you shouldn't be focusing so much on multitasking and more on just prioritizing and getting things done in order of priority. Okay, let's see what we got. We are taking questions in the order that I'm seeing them. Okay, lots of people doing readings. Thank you so much for participating in this. It's such a great process, and it's very helpful in helping us learn and grow. Jake, 5345, I know that's Robin. So nice to see you. Carol, nice to see you here. Glad you're here. Okay, so this is a fun one for Melanie. I have a painting that has become disturbing. What is it about the painting that I see differently lately? So interesting, especially for a card reader, where we're used to feeling different things in images. And it can very often be, we all know this for card readers, that there can be images that we react to very well and then all of a sudden not. And so I think the fact that Melanie is looking for meaning here is very interesting. If you'd like to do this reading, at Melanie Pardis, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Let's see what we see. Wheel of Fortune reversed. This is a whole lesson in looking at things a different way. Whether or not it reflects something in the painting or not, I'm not sure. But I recognize that the whole thing is about, let's look at everything in a different way. Let's look at life in a different way. Let's look at your stories in a different way. Let's look at things in a different way. Okay, and thank you again, everyone, for doing these great readings. Okay, Ashley, should I reconcile with my ex? Okay, if you'd like to do this reading, at Ashley, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Let's take a look. Interesting, Strength. The question is, what has changed? Clearly, there is a connection between the two of you. Clearly, it is worth having this conversation, but you have to look at you, at the ex, and at the relationship that is there. Is whatever beasts and demons made this not work before, can they now be under control? Do we know what they are? That's what you need to figure out. I don't know that this is saying that you should reconcile, but it is worth looking at and it's worth having a conversation. Okay, Clumsy Clairvoyance. Where should I apply focus in my career path? If you'd like to do this reading, at Clumsy Clairvoyance, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Where should I apply focus in my career path? The Hanged Man reversed. So when we look at your career path, is meditation a part of it? Is yoga a part of it? Is looking at things in a different perspective a part of it? Are there ways that some internal processing would help you? There's also a sense here on a more practical level of not fighting the battles you can't easily win. of really looking at where can you be most effective and going in that direction. All right. Hey, La Morena, nice to see you here. Okay. Lots of great readings. Okay. Pamela Hamden. Is my husband going to come back with me? Let's take a look and see. Lots of interesting relationship questions happening today. So, if you would like to do this reading, at Pamela Hamden, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. Let's see what we got going on here. The Queen of Wands. So I feel like first and foremost, there needs to be a focus on you, not on what he's going to do, but what you're going to do in your life, how you're going to grow, how you're going to heal. That needs to happen one way or the other. That said, I feel like there is some opportunity for conversation here. Some possibility that we may not be finished, but I think you've got to be strong in figuring out what do you really want and what's going to work for you. I think you've got to become more central in this conversation. Okay. Let's see, looking for questions. And again, lots of great readings. Wonderful. Okay. Okay, so from my perspective, we've gotten to the end of questions. So, Marion, I can always count on Marion to give us the astrological scoop. In fact, maybe we should start a new feature where Marion just sort of tells us what to expect, because she has like such a great concept here. This is brilliant. And she always does. Mercury went into Scorpio today. Could that be the reason for the need to communicate with the exes? Oh, it sure could. It absolutely sure could. I don't know that that's a good thing, but it's an interesting thing. Very interesting. So thank you so much for sharing that. Okay. Hey, Gamza Ben, go ahead and ask a question. Dina, how can I deal with what's going on in our government? Man, I think a lot of people, and people really on both sides of the aisle, it's not like anybody's really happy here, right? There's a lot of questions, there's a lot of concern, there's a lot of worry for a lot of different reasons. And while I try to keep the conversation primarily non-political here for a couple of different reasons, number one, we are an international group. And number two, we are a multi-partisan group. So we try to, respect that. At the same time, I think you are absolutely right that there are a lot of things going on that many of us are looking at with increasing alarm, concern, and fear. And so from that perspective, let's take a look and see what we see. If you'd like to answer this question, with any answer other than burn the mofo down, I don't know what card would say that, Ace of Wands, Tower, I don't know, anything constructive. How can Dina, and really the question is, what is the question? Is the question, how can Dina be more of an activist and try to make more of a difference? Is the question, how can Dina handle the things that she's feeling about what's going on? And so as you interpret this, I would invite you to look at it from both ways, because when we look at this question, it really could be interpreted in both ways. So what do we see? The Empress reversed. This would tell me that you are, in terms of concerns, that you may be having some very legitimate concerns regarding the role of women going forward, regarding the treatment of women going forward. And I think when we look at the Empress reversed, there is something here about claiming your voice as a woman and claiming your power as a woman. And, sometimes we need to do that spiritually. Certainly, we need to do that while voting. We need to contact our elected representatives, certainly. But we also need to remember that the Empress represents the Earth Mother as well. And so there is something there. If you are one who is likely to do prayer, magic, ceremony, any of that, hey, it can't hurt. Okay. Carol, should I extend my New Jersey visit and stay longer? If you would like to do this reading, at Carol Snuka, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation, should she stay in New Jersey for longer? Two of Pentacles. The second time this card has come up today for completely different questions. So for you, I would say you could extend it, but there is definitely a shelf life on this visit. And so, yes, you can extend it, but not indefinitely and not for too much longer. Okay, so interesting question from Gamzee Ben. What does B think about me? So that's an interesting question that falls into the category of third-party reading. There are some people who would be very uncomfortable with this kind of reading because it's getting inside the head of somebody else. And, on a practical level, it's a hard question. I'm okay doing these kinds of readings. I think there's an entertainment value to it at the very least. But I do recognize that it's a problematic kind of question. So if you'd like to go there, by all means, at Gamzee Ben, the name of the card you got and your interpretation, I would say that this person would definitely enjoy conversation with you and maybe learning from you. Maybe thinks you're smart, but definitely likes to communicate with you. Okay. Hey, La Morena. I found some leads for my healthcare. How does that look? I'm going to call people tomorrow. Very good. If you'd like to do this reading at La Morena Sin Pena, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. What do we think about these leads for healthcare? Excuse me. Do not interpret the fact we're talking about healthcare and I just coughed. I have allergies. Okay. Two of Wands, I think you're onto something. You're going to need to talk to people. You're going to need to follow leads. It may be a little bit of a breadcrumb trail, but I think you are onto something here, and do not give up. My concern is you'll talk to someone you don't like, you'll get discouraged, you'll give up. Do not do that. You have a vision. You know what you need. Keep going till you get it. These leads are going to help you if you let them and if you are patient. That's what I think. Okay. Kathy Levin, should I leave Facebook? Interesting. Okay. If you'd like to handle this reading, at Kathy Levin, the name of the card you got and your interpretation, what do you think? The Tower, it may be time, or at least, I don't know that you have to leave forever, but for right now, just to deactivate or to walk away for a little while might be really good for you for a number of reasons, strongly. And we'll see you here on YouTube. Okay. Lots of great readings going on. So we are coming to the end of our time for readings. We'll do a few more, but we're going to start opening the floor to questions about tarot. And again, Dina gave us a great topic earlier on, which we will address. I've been thinking about how to address it. There's a good 2-hour class in there, but we'll address it in the 20 minutes we have for sure. But if you have other questions about tarot, particular cards, particular decks, particular techniques, go ahead and chat them in, and we will do the few questions we have left. Okay, Jackie Scott, I'm not feeling confident. How do I turn this around? Great question. If you would like to read for Jackie Scott, go ahead at Jackie Scott, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. Let's see what we got going on. 10 of Pentacles. You know, on a very spiritual level, I would say rely on your ancestors. Ask your ancestors to give you strength. On a more immediate level, I would say look at your past accomplishments and let that give you strength. I would also say look at the people around you who believe in you and let that give you strength. I would also say connect to the earth and let that give you strength. Okay. Beryl, should I move on or wait for him? Let's take a look. If you'd like to do this reading at Beryl, the name of the card you got and your interpretation, let's see what we see. Death, move the heck on. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go now. End of story. I don't mean to be harsh. That sounded really harsh. I know that's painful. But honestly, there's no story, there's no planet that I can see on which this is going to work out for you. So move on. You can do better elsewhere. And let's see what other people say. You know, it's always interesting to see if there's contradiction, and sometimes there is. And what does that mean if there is contradiction? If one person gets one thing, another person gets another. Obviously, if you're the person being read for, you can weigh that out. And I think in the end, it makes sense. Always, we're just looking at it from different perspectives. So that's always an interesting thing. Okay, so as far as I can see, oh, here we go. I almost missed a question. John S. Haas. Should I move to doing tarot readings full time? I'll tell you, as one who's been a full-time reader for more than 25 years, it ain't for the faint of heart. But if you love it, it's a wonderful thing. Let's see what we see. If you'd like to do this reading at John S. Haas, the name of the card you got and your interpretation. What do you think about John becoming a full-time tarot reader? King of Wands, now is the time, now is the time. Yes, 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 yes. 100%. Spiritually, creatively, in every way, now is the time. The mantle is there, the throne is there, the crown is there. Step up to it. It is time to do this, my friend. And if you need help, I wrote a good book for you, Fortune Stellar, what every professional tarot reader needs to know. I also do mentoring sessions. Okay. So, clumsy clairvoyance. Last week, I asked everyone what tarot card was their favorite. So this week, you're awesome. I love you. This week, I wanted to know which tarot card you like the least. So, if you would like to answer this question, tag it least favorite card, and go ahead. What is your least favorite card and why? I want the and why on that. And I'm going to tell you, I do not have a least favorite card. I really don't. I can tell you that when I'm doing a professional reading, there are certain sort of like, I call them the shitsy cards. I'm sorry, that's crude, and I apologize. But, you know, I always start with my 11 card spread. And if what I see is like a bunch of 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, blah, 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 and that's what I see, sometimes it's hard to get a handle on what's going on. And sometimes it just talks about that mood of, oh my gosh, nothing's terribly wrong, but nothing's terribly right either. And so how do we move on with that? And so I don't hate those cards, and those turn out to be good readings, but it does, I think because it can be so low energy, it does require a lot of energy from the reader. Let's put it that way, just to sort of find what's going on. But I don't have a least favorite card. Let's see who does. And fair play, Clumsy. You got to tell us what yours is right now. Okay. Let's see. Checking out further questions. Lots of great readings. Divination, nice to see you here. I dislike all the pages. So let me ask you, do you dislike them because you find them hard to interpret because they can be so many things? Or do you dislike them because you don't like their meanings? I want to know. Oh, you're so cute, Clumsy Clairvoyance. I love you more. Okay. Purple Sunflower, 9 of Swords. I hate not sleeping. Man, you know, I totally understand that for sure. Okay, and here's another question. This will be our final reading, and then we're going into all tarot conversation. Melissa, what do my spirit guides want me to know? If you'd like to do one final reading, at Melissa, name of the card you got, your interpretation. Ace of Wands reversed. It is time to light a fire under your butt about something. You have to find what you're passionate for. You have to find what you need to do. You need to get your direction so you can move forward. It's time. You waited for me to add the and why, says Clumsy. That's good. Okay. Dina, least favorite are the 5s and 7s. Those are hard cards for sure. 5, a lot of expansion. 7, a lot of introspection. Necessary, but not easy. Jake, who is Robin, I dislike any card I don't recognize in a reading. Very good. Very good. Marcos, who is Anna. Least favorite cards, Justice. Although being a Libra, I find this card cold, unfeeling, and downright presumptuous. Wow. 10 of Swords, nothing positive about it, however way I spin it. Okay. Justice is kind of cold. It does. It needs to be. Although, you know, there can also be a certain passion in it when it comes to the fight for social justice. So there's that. Now, 10 of Swords, I'm going to give you something here. This may or may not change or help you. But my friend Mary Ellen Collins, who's a fellow tarot reader, about the 10 of Swords says, stick a fork in me, I'm done. And ever since I heard her say that, that made me embrace that card a little bit more and better. Okay. Okay. Claire, least favorite card, the Tower, because it makes me anxious. Certainly. Divination, I mostly use playing cards. So when I use tarot, I just take the pages out. Okay, fair enough. Okay, Dave, least favorite card, the Devil. It's so negatively charged thanks to my Catholic upbringing. Okay, even though I realize that's bogus, it taints my outlook. Beautiful naked people chained up in negativity. I hear you. I hear you. Okay. Clumsy Clairvoyance, mine is the 10 of Swords. Well, you've got some company. I refer to it as the dramatic exit or a fall. It's a complete fall. But hey, now there's only one way up. Fair enough. Fair enough. Marion, least favorite card, Knight of Cups. He just reminds me of those needy, soppy types. It doesn't vibe with my fiery nature. I hear you. I hear you. Queen P, washing hands. What's up with that? Okay, so now, Melissa, least favorite card, the Devil. Tell us why. We heard why Dave says his least favorite card is also the Devil. What about you? Okay, very good. Queen P, we have actually just finished the reading questions. and are now moving on to specifically questions about tarot cards, tarot readings, any of that. John S. Haas. Love all my cards, but I think the Hierophant is a bit full of himself. Yeah, that sure can happen. And you know what? Good point. The Hierophant used to be my least favorite card. I have gotten around that. Now, in recognizing that stepping up to the mantle of authority is not a bad thing. It's all in how you use your authority. Okay, so Melissa finds the devil scary. So the thing you got to ask yourself is, what have you been attached to that has not served you? You know, the devil is only scary when you don't recognize your own power to release yourself from that attachment. Okay. And Dave says to Marion, my significator is the Knight of Cups. All righty, we got a fight on our hand now. Okay. Very good. Lots of good stuff going on. And I appreciate, I don't read it aloud because it's a lot and it's not totally private because we can see it. But there's some nice conversation that goes on here. And I really hope that all of you tarot friends, I really believe your tarot friends can be your best friends. We may be different one from another. We may be in different parts of the world. But I hope as you meet and converse with one another, that you will take the time to friend each other on social media, to become part of each other's communities. You know, that's part of why we do what we do here, for sure. And it's especially important now in this time when, okay, you know, people are doing different things in different parts of the world, but I don't think any of us are getting out and about to see people in person as often as we used to. So it's a good thing. La Morena, least favorite card, the Emperor, because I have a problem with authority, toxic masculinity, reverse, and hierarchies. I hate the title as well, as he's often styled after colonial rulers in the Roman Empire. Fair enough. Fair enough. But you know what? For me also, the Emperor can be wise leadership and can be your father. And okay, so that doesn't help with some people because some people did not have good father experiences, but some people did. And so that's another side to it, but I totally get where you're coming from. So if you're not a member on Facebook of the Global Tarot Circle group, please do join us. Before these meetings, we sort of talk about what would you like to talk about. And Dina had a great idea for this time. If you would like to help drive our conversations, and if you want to make sure you get the links and the notices about the meetings that we're having, that's where we do it. Global Tarot Circle over on Facebook. So make sure you do ask to join. So here's what Dina wanted to do. She wanted to talk about when you do a positioned tarot spread, how do you put it all together? How do you put the cards in their positions? How do you put the cards with one another to tell the story? And that, you know, as I said, that's a good 2-hour class plus some. But let me share with you some of my tricks, and let me ask you to share with us some of your tricks. How do you read cards in their positions? How do you put the positions together? How do you put the cards together? How do you make it all work as a story? And I'm going to start by saying that whenever you are doing a spread, you can interpret that bad boy over and over and over and over again. You can look first at this overview, looking at the trends, the distributions. What's the majors versus minors distribution? What about the suits? What about reversals versus uprights? What about more than one of the same number? What about runs within suits? What about cards that are similar or cards that are different? And you can kind of do groupings to get some information. Then when you talk about card positions, I would have to say some positions are very fixed and some positions are much more mutable. Like say you're doing that 3-card past, present, future. So is the past yesterday? Is it last week? Is it your childhood? That's going to be really mutable depending on what's going on. Is the future a prediction of what's going to happen or what you need to think about in the future or what you need to do? Is the present who you are at this current time or what's going on at this current time? And so when you're interpreting positions, I think you need to be, you need to recognize that mutable quality. And sometimes the card, your intuition, if you're answering a particular question, and the position will all strike you in a particular way to make a lot of sense. Now, I'm going to say part 2 of that, but I'm going to read some comments first. Okay, back to the Emperor. La Morena says, I got that, especially about fathers. I had a similar hang up with the Hierophant, but worked through that, so here it goes. Good luck. Yeah, I had that with the Hierophant for sure, because of my own issues with... because of my own issues with hierarchies. I was going to say with organized religion, but then I got involved in politics and I found the same thing there. So, it's everywhere. Okay, David, possible discussion topic in 2 parts. A great documentary on PBS about the origin of language and early alphabets. They started with literal images of the subject. The image can mean different things. Oh, well, it's certainly the way the Hebrew alphabet evolved. So that's an interesting conversation about prophetic alphabets. Now, how does that go along with tarot? I think in a lot of ways it could. That's an interesting conversation. Okay. Okay, very interesting. So Melanie, with the Celtic cross, I spiral the spread center out. If there's a strong vibe with the card, I start there. I ask the querent too for hints. Jake, who is Robin, says, I think a prediction works as a warning. It could change based on your decisions. Absolutely. John asks, Jungian or political? And I just have to know what you're asking about there because that's such a great question. Which conversation there? Okay, Kathy doesn't like the 5 of Swords. I'm a Libra and like harmony. This speaks of arguing and egos. Sure. Okay, Marcos, who is Anna? I like to make use of directional cues, how the background in each card changes and body positions. Every once in a while, color rhymes helps put 2 cards together to show progression. Right. How, if you look at a spread graphically, how are characters interacting with each other? Are they facing in the same direction, facing each other, facing away for each other? That's all of that. John, relative to hierarchy, Jungian or political? Interesting. Okay, very good. I was thinking more political myself. Okay. And regarding Dave's talk about the alphabets, runes have a similar evolution. Absolutely. Okay, so now getting back to part 2, in my perspective of Dina's question about how we relate cards. So if you're doing a larger spread, sometimes the positions relate to each other. Obviously, past, present, future is a timeline. But like in the Celtic cross that I do, there is events of the near future and there's final outcome. Those 2 cards relate together, so you want to look at those, right? I also have a position for friends and a position for lovers, and looking at how those 2 relate to each other can be really interesting. Then, how do the cards themselves relate to each other? Okay, so here comes Dina. Let's say the past card is High Priestess and the present is the King of Cups. How to tie those 2 cards together. Okay, so not knowing who the querent is or if there's a question, here's what I would say. Clearly, water is important here. High Priestess is a water card. King of Cups is a water card. So what goes all the way through is something, it could be very fluid. It could be about intuition. It could be a dreamy quality. It could be an emotional quality. There could be a lot of depth here. If the present is the King of Cups, that could be the querent themselves, or it could be someone who's very central to the querent, But one way or the other, I have to wonder about relationships. When I see the King of Cups, one way or the other, I wonder what's going on with relationships. However, when I look at the High Priestess in the past, one thing that is often true about the High Priestess is we're not getting any with the High Priestess. There is not a lot of sexual activity going on there. So when I look at those two cards, then I'm going to say, maybe there's been some fantasy or some idealization of relationship or of a particular individual. But where are we when it comes to relationships? I would really like to know. I would also look at these two cards and say, how do we know the difference between intuition and emotion and what's going on there? I would also look at High Priestess in the past as maybe a tendency toward perfectionism, and how has that affected us now? Now, with King of Cups, perhaps we have come to a place of greater emotional understanding. And with High Priestess, there is a certain amount of intuitive understanding. So how are those two things working together, and how are we going to harness those energies going forward for the future? I could keep going, but those are some things I would want to play with those examples. If anyone else wants to play with those examples, please do. Okay. Wendy Sharp, nice to see you. Hierarchy is something we appreciate only when the status quo suits us. If we are striving for change or growth, or want to feel free to express our true selves, it can feel very restrictive. True, but it also depends on what system we're in. Like, I have a friend, for her, the Hierophant is her favorite card. She is a black belt in karate. And so she is in this very honorable, honoring system of hierarchy where everyone is treated well, but you have to earn with respect and hard work your way up. And it's all cool. So I think, there's a lot of it is like, is the power abusive or is it not? Okay. Okay. Clumsy clairvoyance. Love the position for friends and lovers is so interesting, because sometimes there is a love relationship and that person shows up in the friends position. So we know, there's an issue there, right? It's so interesting. Okay. Okay, John wants to know if I use positional spreads as they relate to the Kabbalistic tree of life or elemental concurrence. I don't so much. I don't, but I know those things can be very helpful for people who play with them. Absolutely. Now, Dina, in the Seven Sisters spread, which I love, and why don't I give you all the Seven Sisters spread right now so we can all be on the same page? It's also known as the rainbow spread or the horseshoe spread. Traditionally, you would go right to left, but some people go left to right, totally up to you. Get ready to write this down. It's done in an arc. So card 1, past. Card 2, present. Card 3, future. Card 4, which is right in the middle, that's the significator. That is whatever card falls in there is who the querent is at that current time. If you're reading for yourself, it's you. If you're reading for someone else, it's them. The next card, card 5, is a person or energy that is close to the querent. Card 6 is the challenge or optical. Card 7 is the final outcome. So this is a really great comprehensive spread. Don't need a question to do this spread. This spread will ask questions as well as answer them. Now, you would look at the 2 future cards for connection. Yes. So you would look at card 3, the future, and you would look at that final card, final outcome, and you'd put them together. You would also put the significator, that middle card 4, and card 2, the present, together. They're going to be very closely aligned as well. It's also very interesting to look at the person or energy that is close to the querent and the challenge or obstacle Are they the same or similar? That's always interesting. Dave says, I love the lover category in the Celtic Cross too. Never quite known what to do with the one beneath the final outcome. Okay, so I use an 11 card Celtic Cross that still uses hopes and fears, but has, okay, so in the 4 on the side, the first one down at the bottom is the public. That's the friends, the people around you, how you're relating to other people, how they relate to you. That's friends. The next one is romance, a whole position for romance, then hopes and fears, then final outcome. The extra card comes in the middle in the cross, where we have a 1 card for significator, who you are at this current time, then atmosphere. The atmosphere is crossed. Melanie says, I'll think about perfectionism for the high priestess. Yeah, that can come up a lot. It really can. And Dina says, great spread. Starting with the querent and where they are at is such a strong start. Yeah, both my favorite spreads do that. And I even love that as an exercise. Did someone say exercise? What fun. This is an exercise I like to do often. So some of you have probably done this with me. So let's play with this. Why don't you shuffle your cards and say, who am I at this current moment? Right here, right now, this minute, who am I? Pull a card, tell us what you got and why. I am the Ace of Swords. And I mean, right now, this moment, I'm trying to speak. I'm trying to speak in an intelligent way, and I'm trying to tell truth as I know it. I'm also a writer, and I am trying to do a lot of writing. I have lots and lots of writing to do. And I like to try to be a person of integrity, pretty, like that's important to me. So there's that. Okay. Yes, John as Haas, yes, in this context. So significators can be so many different things, right? Like you have your native court card significator. That is the significator that would be traditionally denoted by your gender identity, by your age, and by your sun sign. So, like for me, I'm the Queen of Cups because I am an adult woman and I'm a Scorpio. Right. No surprise, right? And so that, my native court card significator is always that. And then there's my goal significator. I am the Queen of Wands. I identify as the Queen of Wands because that's who I want to be. But in a reading, that card of who I am at this current time, that's another use of the word significator, right? Because that's in this moment. So we have more than one significator, always. You can also have a significator that's just because you have affinity for it. And that's the way you do that. So it's not that your native significator, the card that's always you, or the card that you use magically to help you become something, that doesn't change. But in a reading, who you are in this moment, absolutely, because we do and be so many different things. And that is so insightful within. Now, if you have that card that you always identify as, when that comes up in a reading, that's really very interesting, but that's not always going to happen. Okay. Clumsy says, the horseshoe really is a great spread. I've never heard of card 4 as a significator, but going to try it. Very good. And Purple Sunflower got the Hierophant. You're learning and maybe even stepping into your own authority, right? Oh, thank you. Okay, Dina, I am 9 of Swords reversed, taking care of my fearful brain with meditation and exercise. Well done. Melanie, Ace of Wands. Find this class and our teacher amazing. Oh, thank you so much. Gypsy Jade, Page of Pentacle, reversed, learning but not yet taking action, maybe. Sure. And John's the Knight of Wands as an Aries. Perfect. Perfect. Jake, Knight of Swords. That's Robin. I'm a constant worrier. I'm not worried now, but it's a good adjective to describe me. Got it. Clumsy, I pulled justice because at this current time, balance and fairness is very important in my relationships and in my life. Dave, I got justice as my significator. I get very upset at injustices, and I'm seeing so many going on now. I expend a lot of energy raging against the machine. I think a lot of us do. Marcos, who is Anna, Ace of Swords. So we're Ace of Swords sisters today, trying to put together my tarot journal and avoiding wishy-washy meanings at all costs. Beautiful. Marianne, I am the Chariot. I really, really want to go places. It's a holiday weekend here in Scotland, and I'm usually away somewhere lovely. Stupid COVID. Yeah, I hear you. Gail, I got strength for my card, and I think it is because I will need strength. Okay. Ashley, Prince of Wands, why do you think? What's the Prince of Wands say to you today? Wendy, got justice. Lots of reasoning needed for me right now. Laura, the Seven of Pentacles reversed, still trying to figure out where to put my energy and time into pursuing new career and family responsibilities. Claire, I pulled the Sun reversed. I'm staying inside too much. I'm not having fun times because I'm not playful enough. I'm out of touch with child energy. Fair enough. Anna picked a card for the lesson today. Sun, shedding light in so many things. Thank you. Folks, we are coming to our last 3 minutes. So now is our time for shameless self-promotion. Would you please put in the comments your website, your Insta, your Facebook, your blog post, whatever it is you want us to know or how you want us to connect with you. Go ahead and put that in. Now, I want you to know that here on my YouTube channel, I've been doing some cleaning up and putting things into playlists. So make sure you check out my playlists. I've been tweaking that a little. I think it's going to make this channel much more navigation friendly. And check out, of course, the live tarot webinars playlist for classes you've missed and meetups you've missed, and also to see what's coming up and make sure you schedule to make sure you don't miss anything. We have some great classes coming up in October. I want to remind you I am available for readings, phone, Skype, FaceTime, Messenger, Zoom, you name it, we'll do it. I also do mentorship. Wherever you are in your tarot journey, I can help you get to the next level. I want to remind you about our class coming up on Wednesday. This is a solid major arcana class. Wherever you are in your tarot journey, this is a beginner level class, but it's a good review level. You got to have a ticket. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Wednesday the 30th. Be there or be square. Get your ticket on my website, tarotbychristiana.com. Go to the events or on my Facebook page, Christiana Gaudet. I also want to remind you to subscribe to the new channel, StarCast, STAARCAST. It is our new podcast in support of StarCon, our new annual tarot conference. So please subscribe to me, Christiana Gaudet. Subscribe to StarCast. You'll see that as a linked channel right here on my channel. I thank you all so much for being here. And folks, you are so kind. Thank you for these kind words, John, Dave. I appreciate you all so much. It is my great pleasure to be a teacher. And thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Please do your shameless self-promotion so we can follow each other and help each other along the path. I will look forward to seeing you. And I do want to give you a heads up. Coming up in October is the UK Tarot Conference, which is now all virtual. And I think you're going to see a lot of conferences doing that over the next year. I am a speaker. I was not planning to go to the UK this year and wouldn't be anyway. But I am one of the speakers. And I think it's going to be a great program. You can attend from anywhere in the world. So I'd love to see you there. I'd love to see you in my class on Wednesday, and I'd love to see you back here. We will have 5 great events here on YouTube for free in October, and I hope to see you at all of them. Thank you, friends, so much for being here. Hope to see you soon.